And it is recording. Okay, awesome. Okay, guys, so we are super stoked to have Tim Farron again on our team call. I think a lot of you got to join with us last time, the first time that he had done a call with us. He is the author of the book, She's Selling What? If you guys haven't read it yet, it's incredible. If you're on our team, we will soon be planning a book club. I've been talking it up and talking about it for months now, and the calendar just hasn't allowed it yet, but it is on the plan. I know several of you have already read it and said that it's helped you and your spouse tremendously. His first team call with us was 5 ways to engage your spouse in your business. And so I know after that call, a lot of you guys gave me a lot of great feedback, how helpful it was, even having the spouse listen to the call. A couple weeks afterwards, we did a call about the compensation plan, and we had tons of spouses show up for that one. And it seemed like it got them a lot more excited and interested in the business. So that was a great tip from Tim to revisit that constantly, because we always have new people on the team coming on board. So no matter how many times we talk about it, it should be something very consistent we talk about frequently. So today's training, what he's going to cover with us is how to win over the skeptical spouse on your team. So last time it was about how do you win over your spouse, right? How do you engage him in your business? And now tonight we're going to be talking about if you have somebody join your team and they have a skeptical spouse, like what do you say? What do you do? Do you do nothing? Do you just hope that everything works out? Because ultimately, what you end up saying can really determine the success of your coach's business and that relationship that they have with their spouse about the business. So we're going to allow for Tim tonight to help us figure out how to overcome those obstacles and really win over that spouse that's on our team. So I'm going to hand the call over to you, Tim.
All right. Thank you. And thanks again for your support and belief in this. And I've gotten some great feedback from some people on your team and even others within Beachbody that are paying attention to this book and seeing it really have some massive change in spouses and the way they're getting on board and contributing. So thank you. And I'm excited. This is going to be a little bit of a different training than the first one. So, and I would say if you missed this one, I'm sure there's a way they can navigate. If they missed the first one, there's a way they can navigate and find that, Danielle. But I'm going to act like you've kind of already heard that part of it and really jump to some real specific things that are just step by step of how to engage a skeptical spouse. And I don't claim to be like the ultimate expert on it, but I'm definitely an expert because I was one. Right? Like I start off every time saying like, hi, my name is Tim and I'm a recovering network marketing skeptical husband, because I am. That was me. It's who I was. And the crazy thing is, and I remember where I was sitting, I was talking to my wife and she said, I have this great opportunity to join this great team with a product that has changed literally our family, that had changed our family's life with a great team of people and friends and all of that. It has earning potential. And I looked back at her and I literally was just like, no, you don't want to do that. Like you don't, let's not, And then she even shared with me, if I hit certain like incentives in the first few months, these ranks, there's these incentives and all that stuff. And I literally, I looked at her, Danielle, and I said, tell me how you actually get those. Like, how do you actually get those? And so she showed me and I was like, you're never going to hit that. Like, you're not going to do that. I mean, it was bad. And here's the thing. I'm a good husband. Like, I really love my wife. I am for her. We have a great marriage. I just brought the whole U-Haul truck full of skepticism to the business as she started it. And here's the bad part. This is the critical part. Not a single person in her entire organization, no one in her upline, no one in the entire company ever engaged me, ever. They never asked to talk to me. They never asked anything to have a conversation. If I had any questions, never. I mean, I have the potential to be fuel in my wife's fire, right? I can be her biggest cheerleader, or I can make her life like a living hell as she tries to build this business. And yet none ever engaged me. And it's not like, I want to make sure and say it's not like a sexist not like I somehow have some ability with my wife that she doesn't have with me. Like for both of us, she is the most important person to my success besides myself. Like she's the biggest determining factor of another person with my success, and I'm the same with her. And so what I want to do is really walk through with you kind of a step-by-step of how to engage skeptical spouses, because it's so critical. And here's what I would just say. You can't be frustrated that you don't have supportive spouses on your team if you've done nothing to engage them. Like just shooting straight. You can't be frustrated that they're non-supportive and all that stuff if you've done nothing to even engage them or ask questions. So that's what I want to walk through with you on this. So Danielle, do you mind real quick, why do you think a lot of people don't engage with skeptical spouses? Like, what do you think the reason is?
I would say because they're scared. Like, and especially if they're a newer coach, they may be like, how do I answer that? Like if they come at them with tough questions, right? Like, yeah. I would say probably fear of what they're going to ask and how to answer it, and will they say the right thing?
Yeah, that's good. And so hopefully this gives you a little bit of a framework to, it's not going to take away all the fear, but at least you'll have a little bit of a framework to have the conversation. So that's my hope and goal. Okay, so the first step, you have to talk to every single spouse before she starts the business. You can't just like put your head in the ground. We talked about this last time. You can't put your head in the ground, like act like everything's going to work out. You've got to have that conversation. Try and make it as personal as you can and as personable of an environment as you can. If you live in the same town, go grab dinner with them or grab coffee and sit with them. You got to go on video, like do that, but make it as personal as possible. And really what you're trying to figure out is what type of skeptical spouse they are. And I've identified 3. And so I'm going to talk through these. And most people fall into one of these 3 categories, and then how you can engage them. So the way you find out is you simply ask a question. And this is where the fear comes in, Danielle, that you're talking about, is you have to be willing to ask this question. So you sit with them and you look Brad in the face. And I'm talking from a husband perspective. I know like it could work for a partner or any type of whether fiance, but I'll just keep saying a husband because that's what I am. So you look at the husband in the face, you go, okay, Brad, be honest with me, shoot straight. How do you feel about Jennifer being a coach? Like, how do you feel about it? What do you think? And then like, shut up and listen. Just shut up for a minute and listen. And now some guys, they may say something like, well, whatever, if she's happy, I'm happy, it's fine, whatever, don't take that answer. Say, okay, so what I hear you saying is you're perfectly okay with whatever she does and you don't care at all. Well, no, I didn't say that. Like, I know you didn't say that. Like, how do you really feel? What are your concerns? What are you scared of? Those kinds of things. And really what you're trying to get to is as they reveal their feelings, you're trying to understand who they are so that you can win them over onto the team, onto your team, okay? So the first type is the uninformed spouse. Now, this is the spouse that's going to say something to you like, hey, here's the thing. I mean, if she wants to do it, I'm totally fine with it. That sounds great. I just don't think I really understand it, right? And so if they're the uninformed spouse, really what they need is 2 things. They need to be educated and they need vision. So they need to be educated. And we talked about this last time, right? They need to understand the compensation plan. They need to understand how some of the products work. They need to get educated because they're not sitting back overly skeptical. They're just uninformed. And until they get informed, they're going to struggle. So they need the education, and then they need vision. They need a plan. They need you to have conversations with them about goals, about strategy, about what it is that you can put together with the husband and the wife, with the relationship together. How can you put some plans, some strategy in place, those kind of things, and begin to cast vision for what this can do, not only just for this, but for their family. You start to tell your own stories. You tell success stories, and they begin to listen and pay attention. So the uninformed spouse, again, they need education and they need vision. All right. So Danielle, I'll ask you the question. Like, what have you seen as spouses start to catch a little of this vision? They understand like the compensation plan, right? They get educated. They start to catch the vision a little bit. Like, what have you seen take place with that?
They don't give the spouse as much of a hard time anymore. Like if the spouse says they want to set business hours, the coach says they want to set business hours, and they understand why they're doing the business hours, and they become more respectful of that. But they even start to ask questions, and they even start to get excited about things, about the trips or the income. So I really think that with the vision allows them to do more. Uh-oh, he's frozen. Am I frozen? No, okay. Hello. He's just getting into the good stuff, into the meat. Uh-oh. He left. He's coming back. Let me make sure he's not messaging me. Okay, guys. Hopefully Tim is going to be back on in just a second. Don't we love technology? I'm surprised it's not my internet kicking me off. I've stopped doing lives anymore because of it.
It's so annoying.
Oh, I know. I was doing a live video the other day to talk about our marketing plan on here, and it like skipped out on over half of it. Okay, let me message him. And guys, if you're not familiar with this book, it's a short, nice, quick read. It's very reader friendly. The ideal behind the book is to have the spouse read it, and it gives them assignments at the end of things that you can do together. Okay, he's trying to reconnect. So if you guys haven't taken a look at it, it is on Amazon. If you are on our team page, I think I posted in the event a link to his book too. He's trying to reconnect with us right now. But I would love to do a book club. And Maggie, I know like maybe your team would even want to collaborate with us and
oh yeah,
do a book club over it. So
we would love to.
Okay, you got me back?
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I am so sorry.
That's okay.
You froze up for a second, and then it ended. So, and it took me a minute to get back on. I am so sorry.
That's okay.
All right, I'm back.
Okay. Did you get to hear my answer?
Yes.
Okay.
And then at the very, very end, I think you froze up. So, yeah. Again, I really apologize. All right. We'll hope again. Second type of husband. Second type of skeptical spouse. The first one, uninformed. The second is the suspicious spouse. Okay, so this is the spouse that's truly suspicious. The one that's really sitting there and they're like, I don't know about all this. You know, sometimes they're skeptical or suspicious because their wife has tried like other things and they haven't stuck, right? And so they're like, no, I want to be a coach. And the spouse is like, we'll see about that, right? Or they're suspicious because they're thinking it's just a fad. Do you even really understand this? Or they're just suspicious because they really think this is like a pyramid scheme and they don't really understand and they don't know what to do. So when it comes to a suspicious spouse, they need one thing from you, and it's belief. They have to be able to gain belief, and belief in three different things. belief in you, belief in your product and your company, and then they need belief in their spouse that's building the business. They've got to get that from you. So as you engage them, you've got to ask them questions and ask them questions like, what do you need to know about me? If you're a coach, you know, and you're sitting there across the table from them, what do you need to believe or know about me in order to have confidence in me and my abilities? You know, what do you need to know about our team culture? What questions do you have, you know, about the way I run a team or built the business? They need to believe in you and have conversations that way. And then they need to have belief in like the product and the company. And this is where it gets a little interesting, because when you just ask the question, like, what do you need to believe, or what do you need to know about how this product works? Or what are your struggles with believing that Beachbody is a viable company? Right? And you ask some of those questions, and then they're going to share them with you, and you get a chance to talk about and to cast vision for how great of a company it is and the difference that the products have made. And you get to build belief in them that way. And then the biggest one is they've got belief in their spouse that's building the business. You can look at them and you could say, here's the deal. Brad, I understand you're just of all I can tell you. I've had, you know, half a dozen, whatever it is, different women like Jennifer who have joined this business. And the truth is some of them have been successful, and the truth is some of them haven't. So I want to ask you a question, Brad. What do you think I need to do to help ensure Jennifer is successful in this? What are some things that you do, or how can we work together so that I can ensure she is successful? And when we say that, the husband instantly goes, okay, we're on the same team. Like, you're not just trying to take advantage of my wife or my spouse. You're not just trying to take advantage of them. Like, we're on the same team. And when that happens, and we've done dozens of times with people, when that happens, the husband begins to go, okay, yeah, if you're asking me the question, I can tell you. You know, I think she's going to struggle with her time, managing her time, or I don't know that she's really going to go after the goal way, or whatever it is. And you can have conversations. And then at the end, you look at him and you say, here's the deal, Brad, no matter what happens, I want you to know that whenever your wife is struggling, you've got my phone number, you've got my email, whatever it is, and you reach out and let me know, and let's work together to make sure that this is a win, not just for her business, but for your family as well. So let's work together as a team. So as I say that, Danielle, like, what do you think? Do you see how this can gain belief, you know, with the spouse and start to win them onto the team?
Absolutely. I mean, I think anytime that you have belief in anything, it's going to win anybody over. Ultimately, you can't do and you can't have success and you can't support somebody if you don't believe in, you know, those three things, like you said, either the person themselves, their sponsor, their mentor, the product, or even in their own spouse, you know. And sometimes I don't know if they realize they don't have belief in their own spouse until you talk that through.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Okay, the third type, and this is the hardest one. It's the least percentage-wise, but it's the hardest one. It's the obstinate spouse. This is like the one that you sit down, you ask that question like, okay, shoot straight with me. What do you think? And you don't even need to ask the question, because all of their body language tells you they're about to deliver you like the line from A Few Good Men, right? Where they're like, truth? You want to know the truth? Let it handle the truth. And they're going to come at you. And at the end of the day, with those spouses, the bottom line for them is they're afraid. There's fear. What you have to overcome with them is whatever their fear is. For some of them, the fear actually comes from a really good place, which is they're trying to protect their spouse. Right or wrong, they think that what you're trying to do is take advantage of them, and they're trying to bow up to protect. But again, when you can have the conversation around, What are you afraid of? What do you think will happen? What do you need to do to believe in me? Like, what questions do you have? You begin to see where their like body posture and all of that, like they begin to loosen up and they begin to have that conversation. And then for some of them, the truth is they're just jerks, right? And whatever you say, they're just jerks. And the reality is, and this is kind of hard to say, but the reality is probably the problems in those marriages go a lot deeper than what your business is ever going to be able to solve with them being a coach or not, or the financial, resources by them building the business or not. And so really for them, if that's where they're at, you just have to have an honest conversation around, are you willing to stay out of their way? Like, are you just willing to stay out of their way and go after it? And if not, it's a tough thing to navigate. But at the end of the day, you just got to understand the marriage is probably headed towards an end itself in a situation like that. And so there's nothing that your business is going to do to solve it. So, but with the obstinate husband, again, 8 out of 10 times, they're really just afraid of something. And when you get to what that fear is, you discover they're really not that guy. They're just trying to stick up for their spouse in that moment. So, okay. Well, since we have identified the type, now that you've done that, once you identify those 3 types, you have to do 2 kind of key goals. And this is how you finish up the conversation with them and that kind of stuff. 1 is you have to win the spouse relationally. So at the end of the day, again, you're not just trying to get them to believe in the business or understand the compensation plan. You've got to win them over to you relationally. And you've got to get them, again, I said this earlier, but you've got to get them to be able to say, like, when my wife is struggling, I'll reach out to you. I'll contact you. Like, we're on the same team together. And then you've got to have that spouse look at, the coach that's building the business, look at their spouse, and you've got to have them say, will you commit to support me for 6 months? Right? I think we talked about this on the other call, but will they really just look and say, will you just support me to run after this for 6 months? And again, once you've won them relationally, the spouse is a lot more open to saying, yeah, let's do that. But if anything bad happens, or if this is a giant struggle, or turn our family apart, or if it's whatever, like, I can call you. And you as the coach say, absolutely. I'm here. I'm in your as well. And then the second one, to really win them over with the support, the second one is you have to get them contributing in some way, shape, or form in the first thirds. You've got to get the spouse of that coach contributing in some way. And again, that's where the book, if you have a plan, run that plan, right? Like, run that, do whatever it is you want to do. But that is the goal of the book, She's Selling What, is to really help be that plan, that they can begin contributing in some way, shape, or form to the business in the first day. Do that, then what ends up happening, this is the beauty of it, ends up happening is her wins become their wins together. And when that happens, that builds momentum. It begins to see success not only in their business, but in their marriage and in their family, which is the beauty of what this is supposed to be when it's done right. So that's the tips. Can I end by telling a story, Danielle? So it's a really, really good example of this. Back before my wife and I even knew anything about this that we were doing, she had a lady on her team. Her name was Jen. Young mom, couple kids. They were living paycheck to paycheck, struggling. Like a lot of women that start a coaching business or things like that, that's the spot they're in. And she wanted to contribute financially to their family. And so she started the business. Her husband, Brad, was pretty skeptical and just kind of stood on the sidelines and just was like, do your thing. She started to see some success. And a month came up where there were some different incentives. And if she hit certain ranks and did whatever, she could get a $500 bonus. She actually, at the end of the month, had enough volume to do it, but she didn't structure it properly. She didn't ask my wife or anybody else for advice. And at the end, when my wife went and looked at her organization, like a week later, they were talking, she realized she missed a $500 bonus that she could have had. Her husband, Brad, found out. He was pissed. I mean, pissed. He was so mad. And it was a defining moment for them because she was embarrassed, he was angry, and they were about to quit. So instinctively, my wife and I knew we needed to do something. So we sat and we met with them. And what we found out, Brad, as he expressed his feelings, Brad actually had a thing for numbers and actually enjoyed accounting and the structure and those kind of things, but he had never engaged with it. And again, faults on us. We had never talked to him about engaging in it or how he could contribute. And so what ended up happening is through that, he was like, I'll take that over. I'll do that. We explained the compensation plan to him. He's like, are you serious? So if we just did this and this and this, we could do that. And he started to get into it. And the next time, the business my wife is in, the next time we had a BOGO month, Brad literally took 2 days off of work so that he could help her with sales and structure the volume properly. And they are killing it in their business. And again, it's just the power of understanding you have to engage the skeptical spouse. And the truth for Brad and Jennifer, if we would have done it right out of the gate, we could have saved their marriage, their frustration, and she could have had more success early on, but we never did it. And a lot of people aren't doing it. But when you do engage the spouse early, makes a huge difference. So there you go. What do you think?
That was awesome and eye-opening even to me, because obviously we have plenty of skeptical spouses among even our organization. And constantly what I'm trying to do is talk to the specific coach, but never really talk to the spouse. So, and especially with Chris being active in the business, I can always call him out for help too. But yeah, I mean, I think I took 2 pages of notes. So very good stuff. I'm going to share the recording along with my notes because I know that having an outline of the call will be really helpful. Because I think that there was tons of value in here. I mean, a lot of my own personal takeaways. So,
well, thank you.
Yes, thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to see if anybody has any questions.
Yeah, go for it.
That is on here right now. I have everybody muted, so you guys can unmute yourselves if anybody does have a question. But no, I think it's even eye-opening for myself and. I know Maggie, her team is on here with us too, and I don't know if, and her husband Mike is also very active. So do you guys have a lot of questions about skeptical spouses? Did you ever try to hit it like one-on-one?
We haven't yet, but we're going to. We're going to start. Yeah. Mike does talk to the husbands, like if they have any questions, because he was skeptical, but he wanted to support me from the beginning because he knew it was good for me to do something outside of being a stay-at-home mom. He just didn't really know exactly what it entailed. He did give me the 6-month timeline, and he says to me, like, shame on me though, for what business takes off in 6 months?
Yeah.
So obviously mine did. No. But yeah, Mike, do you have anything to say, hon?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can hear you now.
I think it's extremely important in this business for the husbands to understand what these ladies are going through and what they want to accomplish. And Tim, when you said, the whole 6-month thing, I was quietly shaking my head no, because Maggie nailed it with, I told her I will give you 6 months to make this work. And I always tell everyone, shame on me for saying, first of all, you only have 6 months to give this a try. Second of all, looking back, again, like what Maggie said, what business has succeeded in 6 months? Yeah, some that take off very, very fast, but those ones that take off very, very fast also crash very, very fast. So this is going to take some time. It is going to take some understanding, especially for the husbands. When I speak to the husbands in this business that don't necessarily know what their wives, girlfriends, spouses are getting themselves into, the more and more that I explain this to them, the more and more they open up their eyes and they realize the potential ahead of them. Once I start talking about this, which is dollars, us as guys, we tend to open up our ears a little bit more. I don't know if it's because we're the so-called, providers of the family, or we're the breadwinners, which I don't believe that anymore. I mean, there's so many successful women on this call. It opens up our ears a little bit more as guys when we hear about the money and about the financial side of it. So if you're able to talk about the financial side of these things, that's just as important. And as always, have the husbands contact myself, contact Chris, contact Tim. I know that you'd be available as well. We're here for these guys. We're here for you guys, for you ladies to be successful. And not only that, but for your husbands to be successful in this business as well. Once your husbands start to understand this business as a business and as a business model, and not as a pyramid scheme or some part-time job that you want to try out, they will understand in this, they will invest in it, and they will support you 110%, which then really starts bringing in the bucks. And it gets to be a lot of fun, right? Maggie and I have a ton of fun doing this. Chris and Danielle have a ton of fun doing this. So it's not only the financial side of it, it's, I think, the relationships that we've built throughout the years. It's the memories that we're building, and it's the path that we're paving for our future.
Well said.
Yeah.
Good. It's good.
All right. Does anybody on here have any questions? Feel free to unmute yourself. All right. All right, Tim. Well, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate you getting on here. This was very, very, very informative and really helpful. And I will even send you the recording if you would like it to share too. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Everybody have a good night.
Thanks, Tim.